Ha! G'day trendsetters, Greg here from Fishblade Films and welcome back to episode 21. Woo! 21 today of the BNSf Birdwood Sub. Well, I'm just like that rash that you picked up on spring break, you know, just when you think it's gone, I come back. And here we are looking at the biodiesel plant. Now, after we had our little operation session in the grain facility, I decided we need to get things cracking with some industrial areas and some switching. So this is the biodiesel plant here. So I'll have a quick look at that and then we'll get into some screwing around with fascias because we need to get into scenery. I know I've said it, I've said that dirty word, but we need to get some scenery happening, and to do that we need some fascias. So we'll have a quick look at the biodiesel plant here and the trackage for that, and then we'll be getting into some freaking fascias. Okay, let's have a look. Now you'll notice that the roadbed here is above the board here. A couple of reasons for that. One, I stuffed up and I just screwed this down basically on top of the framework, and it just so happened that it turned out it was exactly another thickness supply below where this rail had to come over. We couldn't drop this anymore because we would lose our height above this track here, our clearance. But it's actually worked out quite well because you can always add scenery, you can't take it away. So I've just cut some scrap bit supply in here for this track to go on, and now we can have maybe a little embankment that this drops off, or dugout stuff, or all that sort of thing, maybe a creek running through, whatever. Or I'm thinking because it's a industrial facility, there might be bunding tanks here or whatever. So you can always build up ground, but it's a bit hard to dig it away, trendsetters. So the beauty of biodiesel is I can use all my favourite cars, hoppers and tank cars. So there'll be obviously two tracks here, they'll run around to there. Another track here. This track here will be for the potash, because biodiesel requires potash. These two tracks will be for the vegetable oil and the ethanol. And we're deciding yet whether we'll actually be taking biodiesel out in tank cars. And if we do, you can use one of these tracks. So it won't be too long before we've got track in here, and we'll be doing some switching in the old biodiesel plant. Right, now apart from the biodiesel plant, which is coming along nicely, we're also getting funky with fascias, trendsetters. That's right. It's about time. Derek Glass has inspired me a little bit doing his fascias, and there's been a few other guys who've been doing fascias. They can be quite fiddly, and it really helps if you design your layout and do your bench work with fascias in mind, so you don't have to do a lot of work afterwards. I really didn't follow the 6Ps exactly. I sort of did, but what I'm doing here, I've got these are tubular ones here, and I've screwed them on to the supports that come out that hold the track up, and they're a nice long piece that will support all of the hardboard, or masonite as we call it out here. So that'll wrap around here obviously, and get some nice screws in there. And now what I did, I had the fascia cut as tall as it needed to be, and it was up here like that, and then I just got a Sharpie pen, this one here, put it on top of the track like that, and just scribed around, because this is on a 1.8% grade here, and I just scribed around like that on the inside of the hardboard, had it temporarily in place, and then I've cut along that line, and it's given me a nice, follows the track around perfectly around there. I've made it about 1 centimetre above the board height here, just to catch anything, and also to stop people bumping it because we're very close here to the edge. So we've got these all the way around. Make sure that they're vertical too, that's another thing. That's important. And we'll get some of this hardboard on and we'll come back and have a look. Right, we've been busy little beavers since yesterday. And we'll get our first couple of bits of fascia in. and we'll just show you a couple of techniques on how to get your fascia looking spiffy. Now we've got our nice curve here. It's amazing how sharp you can bend this stuff before it breaks. If you're really worried, you can wet it down a little bit and it helps bend a really tight curve. But this is a pretty tight curve in here. And we put a support piece behind here. And it's amazing how strong it is once you get it all flexed up. Now, this bit here, this is a join. If you can always do your joins on a straight. And notice all these screws here. Sort of debate, what do we do? Do we hide the screws? What I'm going to do with the join, this is a join here, so it's on a straight piece. I'm going to glue this. There's a block of ply behind here about 120 mil wide, so there's actually ply to about here. And I will take this apart, glue it with some contact adhesive, and screw it up, clamp it up, and then remove the screws and fill them with putty, and she'll be right once to the joint. These screws here, there's 3 screws that go in here. These actually support it to the brackets that we put in yesterday. And those screws will be visible, but the joint screws won't be. So I think that's how I'll go for this. I don't mind seeing some screws. Now I don't know whether these ones here are just countersunk for the moment, so they'll be temporary. Whether I do the little silver washers, that most people tend to do, or whether I'll countersink them so they're flush. But the trouble with countersinking in this hardboard here, there's not a lot of meat in it, so by the time you countersink the head, it's probably quite easy to pull through. So we probably end up going with what most other people do, is with the little washers and the screws. But anyway, we'll see what happens. But we'll definitely be getting rid of all these screws here. There, it's looking good. And look at this trendsetters. We'll just zip around here. Like that. We even cut profile for a mountain. Well, 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 how about that? So we'll see what happens with that. All right, well, let's move on to the next bit. Right, we've got this piece up now. This joins onto that S-bend that we were just talking about for the curves. And we've got our supports here, another one here that we put in yesterday. And remember, we've got the bottom part of this level. Then we went along with our pen, this one here, and we scribed along from the inside, and that got us our angle to cut this. And using the thick old Sharpie here, that's about probably, it's a little bit higher than rail height, and probably about 15 mil, maybe half an inch from the actual baseboard. And it's right on the edge here, and we can fill that with a little bit of scenery. And it's giving us maximum room to walk through, with a little bit of protection from people over there. So it's right on the edge. You know what they say, trendsetters? If you're not on the edge, you're taking up too much room. That's what I say. So that should be good. It's looking all right, trendsetters. Right, so if you follow our fascia around now, we can see we've got our little S-bend here with our straight. This is where we're gluing the join here. If you possibly can, try and get your joins on a straight. And I'm pretty lucky with these boards, they're 8 foot long. And I've managed to get around the whole layout. I think there'll be one place where I have to do a join on a curve. But the rest I can actually get a join in a straight section here. Even the small straight, this straight's probably about a foot and a half long. Managed to get this bit of ply behind these 2 bits here, and that'll be glued, taking the screws out as we said before. Then it eases around to our curve around there. So it all works out pretty good, trendsetters. Now we're looking from the other side going up the grade, and since we did this with our Sharpie and measured it, this is a constant grade, and this is exactly the same all the way up the grade, so it looks nice and neat. And when you scribe the line on here, as long as you've got the bottom level, remember when you're doing fascia, always work off the bottom for your levels, as long as you've cut the bottom square, of course. And then this will be perfect with your track. That's if you want it, of course, level with the track. Then up here it starts to raise up, and there'll be a tunnel portal here where it comes out of the mountain. We'll have a look at that as this train comes up. Right, it's coming up past our S-bend here now. I think this will look quite nice with this mount coming down here. There's a Intermountain and a Atlas-8, Atlas-8 40CW, both with Tsunami Dakotas, of course. And finally getting the Intermountains to work. Okay, we won't talk about MTH, will we? No, we won't. Of course, the Atlas Silver Series, beautiful locomotives. Buy Atlas. They're really, really well detailed. Better than Kato. Kato needs to step up their game. Their drive's probably as good as Kato. And unfortunately, they don't make many modern units. So, but if you're after earlier stuff, Dash 8s and stuff like that, Atlas Master Series, don't buy them with the QSI Dakota. They're easy to put a Tsunami in. Beautiful. Now, the end of this train is a bit of a teaser. As you know, I like my hoppers and I like my tank cars, and of course biodiesel lends itself to both of those beautifully. The signature train on the layout will be the Ethanol Train. And I finally decided to take out all my ethanol cars and get the Ethanol Train going. So, still in the process of getting all the shelf couplers put on. I'll do a video on the KD number 119 scale shelf couplers. If you like tank cars and you want to give your tank cars a bit of prototype bling, then the KD 119 couplers are for you. Very nice. And I've got about 45 to do. Now the Ethanol Train won't be that long all the time, but we'll be doing a special run of the new Ethanol Train very soon in the coming weeks. So I've got a bit of a tease on the end of this train for that, but a lot of weathering to do. It's all right, we'll wrap up this. We'll have a look a bit more fascia around this other side, and I think that'll do us for this update, because I've got to get cracking, trendsetters. Okay, here's a bit of a tease with some Procore cars. These aren't weathered yet. So weathering tank cars, especially for ethanol trains, is rather challenging, because as we know, a lot of them are very clean. Now these are my favourite cars. Let's zoom in here, trendsetters. Now these are as rare as rockin' horse poo. I managed to get 3 of these. Soy power biodiesel. I've got about 10, I think. Very nice. And of course, being biodiesel, I like them, I like them, I like them. 3 of these cars I bought in a 3-pack in Sacramento from the model railroad shop just across the road from the east end of Roseville Yard. Railroad Hobbies, I think it's called. Nice guys in there. So 3 of those cars, I can't remember which ones, but 3 of those come all the way from Sacramento in my baggage. So they've done a bit of tripping round too. Right, we've got another tunnel portal coming in here, so same thing, scribe that, got the bottom level, scribe this, then did a bit of a profile here. Of course I can always change that if I need to. But we've got a join, and this is going straight here for about nearly 2 foot this time. So we've got a join here, but the same thing, with a bit of ply, screwed and glued, and then the screws taken out. And we've got a bit in there. Now we have to flex this bit, we've got to get this bit in and make an S-bend through here. So there's some screws going in here. And that'll hold that, and I think I'll try and put another support in here somewhere, because this is it's a bit of a flex through here, and we need to support this middle bit here, so I have to work out how to do that. And then that's pretty well this end of the layout done on the bottom level, so we're doing alright, trendsetters. We're doing okay. Where's the camera? We're doing okay. Don't look into the microphone. That's the lens there. This is almost fun. Well, trendsetters, I hope you like this update on fascias. And when you're building your layout, if you're in the benchwork stage, it really would help if you think about putting fascias on before you start, and you can make the brackets and get bits of wood there ready. So let's say you're mucking around as much as I'm doing here. I sort of half thought about it, but it's one of those things, you know, it's a scenery thing I don't want to talk about. Anyway, some nice Procore cars going past here. Very nice. Hope you enjoyed that. Learn a little bit like me, and we'll be back possibly with maybe an ethanol train soon. But I got to get cracking. I want to get this fascias done so we can install all my new cab outlets. So I'm getting more cab outlets arriving, or UTP 5s or whatever they are. And then once you've got all the fascia done, well, you know, that naughty S word, maybe we'll give that a bit of a go, a bit of scenery. So we'll see. Anyway, thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you very, very soon, as Benny Hill used to say. Hooroo for now. Bye-bye.